Hello, I'm gonna try and get my dog. Debak. Debak. Because he was by my feet. He was trying to get my attention. And my computer just crashed. So the entire system actually just crashed. So I was trying to get him. Okay, he's now here. I think he just got impatient and walked away. Okay. The diva is here. Hello. You say hi. Say hi. Hi to everybody. You say hi. Smell good. You're smelling good. Say hi to everybody. They want to see you, baby. They want to see you. I can probably just put you on camera and they're going to stay here for 2 hours just looking at you. Hello. He's sighing. Come on. Hello. Hi, everybody. Okay. All right. Enough of your cuteness. Hi, everybody. I do have a little problem because my system just crashed. And so a lot of the things that I prepared did not upload, but I will try to talk through them. Um, there were like some videos that I wanted to show you in relation to the BTS thingy, but I don't know. Let's see what I can do. All right. Let me say hi to everyone. Hanako Grace, Lisa Parker, Reg Pear, Rachel, Amy, Nadira, Seda, Sarah, Shelling, Leah, Amy C, A Brown, Z Arashi, I am Claudia, Bomac, KG Creations, Arlene, Amy C, Elazar, Bang Luna, I Carmi, A Brown, Courtney, Pia, OSP, Emily, Kay Inoka, Pia, Shelling, Elizar, MLB, Just Me CDV, Silver Star, Portia, Nas, yeah, Nas. He took a picture with Gloss and Ranch Randa. Maritz, One, Yeah, I was running late because my system broke. Um, I posted on Patreon, and I do have a problem because there are some stuff. Okay, I'll let you know in a bit. Nigma, Heather Lynn, Courtney, Joyful One, MHM 6081, Nadira, Z Arashi, Arlise, Hanako Grace, Reg Pair, Maritz, Joyful One, A Brown, Kez M, Courtney, Lorena, OT71013, Michelle Santiago, Lisa Parker, Iris Brelin, Kay Inoka, Becky Beck, Nicole, Nicole, Iris, Sinri, Read Book, Leah, OT7, Lady Pink, Carla Girl, very, very, Verity, the real lonely yellow ball. What a long name. But I like it. Hanako Grace. Okay, hello everybody. So my system just broke. I think I do need to buy a new computer because it keeps on causing me problems when I am about to go do my live stream. But I'll try to talk through some of them. But there are a lot of videos that I uploaded that it's gone now, and there is also a computation in the um, FIFA numbers that I actually prepared that did not upload. So what I will do is try to discuss as much as I can, and then when things and then next to, but I will not stretch the live stream just to get to 2 hours. I mean, if I feel like I could just skip something because it's better with visuals, then I'll skip it and then we'll just end early and then we'll do a proper one next Wednesday. Does that sound good? Um, I I do think it's the computer that's the problem. I was about to go online. I finished uploading everything and then it just crashed. And then it just this everything just disappeared. So the problem is that e- even if I upload it in my system, it still has to be intact in my hard drive for it to function well. So I don't want to stretch and make it boring and, just so I'll just discuss everything that I can discuss. And then for the things that I feel like, oh, it's better if we have visuals, then I will just do that Wednesday. I will redo everything and do that Wednesday. Okay. Does that sound good? Okay. Now, I usually allow like 15 minutes, 20 minutes for me to do small talk. I know that some people that still have questions about the Grammy one. So let's get that out of the way so that once we um, discuss other things, we can move on. So, do you have questions about the Grammys? Hanako Grace, thank you. Do you have questions about the Grammys? There was someone asked me about because with you for a song is here again. Thank you, Nadira. Someone actually asked because armies have been discovering some things about the two people that were involved, and one of them is the woman, Zina Koda, and also the founding member of the other organization. They have ties to SM Entertainment. And people were asking me if I think that this has any connection to them trying to sort of hijack the Grammy Award so that it could favor SM Entertainment. Um, so I was actually going to do a video on that. I just decided that it's Monday, so I decided something fun. But because we've been I mean, in my channel, I think the four videos that I did that week were all about the Grammys. Um, I have gotten to a point where I kind of don't care as much um, about everything that they are doing. So, and I don't care as much about the Grammy itself. I usually take my cue from BTS. And if you would remember, even when I made my decision on what kind of pictures to allow on Patreon and what kind of pictures I will be using, I took the cue from BTS. So if BTS members are okay with that fan site, then I'm okay with that fan site as well. So it's kind of the same for the Grammys. I would give a damn if they do, but because they don't give a damn anymore, then I kind of stopped caring as well. Now, I don't think it is for the Grammy side, on the Grammys side. I don't necessarily think that they intentionally got people that have connections to SM Entertainment and to Kakao specifically to sabotage BTS. This is on the Grammy side. Okay. Um, I think they definitely have some interest in trying to get the ratings up. And so they were looking for ways on how they can utilize the Asian audience to get more viewership. And their deal with Disney Plus and Hulu, I think, is a sort of a proof or a preamble, maybe, that they are trying to get international audience. So definitely I think that was one of the considerations. After all, there's still a they still need money to be able to operate. But I don't think they went out of their way and say, we're gonna get like Kakao and SM affiliated people so that we can sabotage BTS. I don't think that was what they did. Did they not properly vet the people that they are working with? Most likely. I think that's pretty obvious. As I've said in my ex post, which was full of errors just because I was so this is why you shouldn't react emotionally. When I first heard the news, so Thursday I went to, I did something for Google, and that was the day when all of that blew up. By the time I was done with Google, I saw the post and hence my reaction. I do think that they did not vet the right people. That's for sure. I mean, as I've said in that X, the way that she was behaving, I think, is a clear demonstration of just why she's unfit to be a member of that body that decided on the Asian category. Now, people might say I'm too harsh, that people are bound to make mistakes. Sure, but if you've gotten to that level in your career and you are now positioning yourself or have positioned yourself as a representative of Asians in such a critical body like Grammys, you are not afforded grace in instances like that, because primarily because that is a super basic thing that all executives are actually put through. You get criticized for your decision, you get pressured to do something, and that's like in a PR playbook 101. You're usually told what to do. And the first thing is that you should actually shut up. That's actually the first thing that you do, especially if you're angry, if you don't know what to do, if, you know, the a PR person, a PR practitioner, which Grammy has, they would just ask you to shut up, collect your thoughts, talk to them, and they will be the ones that will release a statement. So when the Grammy CEO released that statement, you know that that is very measured. He did not criticize BTS. He just said, "I'm sad that they decided not to participate," and then went on to stand by the decision of his organization, for better or for worse. So as a leader, you can kind of see, okay, at least he has some. bones in him because he's standing by that decision. Whether you agree with that decision or not is an entirely different matter altogether. So the same thing is true for her. She could have just called the Grammys and say, I'm really angry or whatever, and these are the things that I want to say. And then you can sit down with the PR person and they will craft a message for you that will communicate kind of what you want to say, but not really attack anybody. So, in such an instance, you are not afford I would not afford grace, primarily because this is such a elementary thing to do. Okay. So yeah, I think that really shows her character, and so that's why I think, yeah, it was a bad move that she was actually a part of that body that this made that decision to create that category. Um Now, are they gonna now that's the Grammy side. On Zena Koda's side and the other people that are in her camp, are they gonna try and hijack the Grammys for their um idols that are under SM Entertainment? Probably. I mean, that's natural. That is to be expected. You kind of show your interest in instances like that. I mean, when Hybe idols became a part of the Grammys and when they are going to vote, they're probably going to be voting for hype artists as well because that's their interest, right? And so that's why I've been telling people that in the Grammys, networking is an important thing. You do vote for the ones that you like and the ones that you understand. Okay, now, what was actually so that's for their part. I do think so. Just to make it clear, I think on the Grammy side, they weren't necessarily trying to sabotage BTS, but I did think that they made the wrong decision in hiring these people or getting these people as a part of the body that decided on that category. Now, for Zena Koda and for the others, are they going to vote against BTS and vote for the people that they like? 100%. Just because that's human nature, you're given a chance to vote. It's not like they are bound by I don't know, like they don't have legal responsibility over this. In other words, if they violate the guidelines that because the Grammys would give a guideline to the voting body on who should they vote, right? But then if you don't follow that guideline, you don't suffer any kind of consequence. So most likely, yes, they are probably going to be voting for the people that they like, and that would be SM entertainment groups or SM entertainment acts. And to a certain degree, that is just something that you should expect because that's how it goes. So that is why I said I think Grammy made the wrong decision in hiring these people, and these people are just doing exactly what they are expected to do. Now, um, there are now for the bigger thing for me is the fact that Harvey Mason Jr. actually addressed the issue altogether. As I've mentioned in the video that I've published, he has only done that once, and the other one was for the weekend. It was a very brief statement. He hardly addressed the weekend directly. He actually kind of just said like, as always, we will continuously examine the way that we vote or the way that we process the voting. So that was the only thing that he said. So this is the first time when he actually directly addressed it, and it was a pretty lengthy address. So you kind of know that he knows that there is an impact. Um, so yeah, that's I think that is it going to affect the credibility of the award? Um, Most likely, but I think that is something that has already been transpiring. That has happened already, meaning the credibility of the Grammy has been slowly depleting for the last several, not just last several years. I'll say for the last 10 years. And it has when it began, it has nothing to do with BTS. So I think BTS is a part of that case, but the Grammys being torn down is not necessarily because of BTS. Yeah. So I know that there are some creators who have been talking about it. I know there is this producer who talked about like having an insider in the Grammys. Probably are they going to be using BTS as a pig for that? Probably. Um, but they have I actually, when I heard of that category, I actually thought that they weren't going to that it wasn't going to be BTS. That whoever was going to win that category was going to be BTS. So I kind of knew that from the beginning. They're not going to allow BTS to win that category. They're going to make them compete in the major categories, and then BTS was going to lose. So I don't know the. I mean, he has his contact. So maybe he's right and I'm wrong, but that was my initial impression. I thought because BTS is most likely the in my head, like what was I anticipating was that they were anticipating that BTS was going to enter in that category. BTS is going to lose. And then BTS will also be entering the major categories, and BTS is going to lose in all of that. That was what I was thinking initially. I thought that was what was going to happen. And primarily it's because the ones that are going to be voting in the Asian Awards category will not be the traditional voters that will be voting for other categories. So remember, a voting member has 10 or 15 votes. Okay, and then you can only vote in 3 fields. So you choose that um you choose which fields you will be voting in: R&B, pop, classical, something like that. And so if you are limited, right? So you only have 3 categories. Why will I choose that category when I can just choose the ones when I know my vote will be of importance to the categories where I'm actually involved in, like hip hop and pop and whatever. So most likely the ones that will be left voting for the Asian categories will be the Asians. And Hybe, they're outnumbered, right? So most likely they were going to lose. I was just doing the math. Like Hybe is extremely outnumbered in. I mean, especially after everything that we have discovered on who these people are, they are outnumbered. So there are way more BTS haters in that organization than there are supporters. One reason I'm saying that she doesn't like Zena Koda doesn't like BTS was the interview that she did for when she was explaining the Asian category. She did not mention BTS. And I know people are going to say like, why do they always have to mention BTS? Well, they don't always have to mention BTS, but in this specific category, you would think that they would acknowledge BTS because none of this would have existed before if it wasn't for BTS. The mere fact that there are more and more groups that are singing in their native tongue in festivals like Lollapalooza, like how many performers were there singing in their native tongue, it was all because of BTS. And I mean, come on, if you don't admit that. And the mere fact that she did not mention BTS in her interview, that's going to give you an idea on the kind of psyche that she has, right? She's definitely not objective. So for all the she's not objective. If she was objective, then if she is objective, she would have mentioned BTS in that interview. She never did. She mentioned Stray Kids. She never and she mentioned 17. And this too, I acknowledge the success, especially Stray Kids. I acknowledge the success of Stray Kids, but they have less impact in the chart. So no, it's like I Hybe is outnumbered. So I kind of knew, okay, BTS will be a candidate. They will be one of the nominees for the Asian category. They were going to lose, and then they will be a nominee for all the other major categories that they will going to be entering to, or some of them, and they're going to lose there as well. That's what I thought. So, but I know this producer has contacts inside the Grammy. Maybe I am wrong, but that's where. So anyway, the other thing that I was actually going to discuss was that I was going to that this is I will set this aside for Wednesday because I did not finish my research, and that's why I also did not put this in the list of the topics that I was going to talk about. But I'm just going to give you a briefer. Um, Culturally, like historically, I actually looked into the different efforts that different organization made or did in lowering the barrier in order to make it more inclusive. I looked at the result, like did it actually do something? So let's look at that next week because it's pretty interesting actually. Because that's essentially what they were saying, like, oh, we're trying to lower the barrier for Asians in order for the organization to be more inclusive so that they could fit. We're going to lower the barrier for them. And I thought that actually did that actually work? Like what similar things have happened before where they lowered the barrier for things and it actually worked. So um let's look at that next week. I was pretty The initial research that I did was actually pretty interesting. And when I was doing the research, I was thinking like, aren't these people not looking at previous research before they do something like this? Right? Like, sure, you can't say that same thing will happen for the Grammys, but there has to be some credit. There has to be some weight to previous incidences because if they have gone through, if they actually look at that research, the different research that have been made in relation to that, you would kind of realize like, yeah, lowering the barrier does not work. What happens is that they get stuck in that barrier. So I kind of get what BTS was doing. Now, I'm not saying that I don't. And then also I looked into like if like what does awards like this would actually do to the careers of those that are going to win. And I'm going to give you a spoiler, but we'll talk about this on Wednesday in much more detail. Um, BTS has been the only one who has actually gotten an award, a minor award, who's actually managed to make themselves bigger because of it. Okay. All right. Um, Fearing if that's the case, why get so angry that they were not participating? So show her true ranting. Um, yeah, I think what was she was hoping for was to sort of like get a pat in the back because it seems that my gut is that she was one of the like front. If my gut is that she was the one who actually proposed the idea. If not, yeah, she probably was the one who proposed the idea and pushed for it. And then you suddenly lost possibly one of the biggest acts in the world. Um, and then she also, because the one thing about being a BTS hater is that you constantly underestimate the voice of armies, like how loud armies can get. So I think that's one of the things that she did. She underestimated the voice of army. So when BTS released a statement, she did not expect that kind of feedback echo from armies. Um and because she was the front runner, I could actually imagine in inside the Grammys people asking like, wait a minute, did we make a mistake with what we did? Um, and of course, because she was the front runner, she's probably anticipating that she was one of those people that will be questioned. So that's why she ranted. But definitely, she underestimated Army, she underestimated BTS. And so I think that's why she was very angry. She was kind of expecting that this was going to be like a pat in the back or people telling her that oh, this is a good move, finally we're going to have Asian winners, and this is what happened. Okay. All right. So that's my thoughts. I do plan on doing one more video. I don't know if I'm going to do this tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday. But essentially to just wrap up this entire saga. But also to close it on my end because I feel like BTS has long moved on to other things. They did not even, as I've said in my video, the day, a day after that happened, they went to dinner. Like, and this is the least of their concerns already. I think they've definitely moved on. And judging by the energy that they had last night, my God, I think they're just really trying to have as much fun as they could. And I actually am noticing that the deeper they go into this tour, the more like uninhibited they are on stage. So I feel happy that they are enjoying it more and more. So, and I think that's what matters. I think at the end of according to their CEO, they have more dates. So I'm thinking they will most likely go 100 dates, and then close it there. So I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the tour. I'm looking forward to September. I'm going to be seeing them. So I plan on seeing them 4 days, but I only have tickets for two. Day one, I'll be on the floor. Day two, I will be joining some of you guys in um, the suite. And then I'm still looking for day three and day four. I'm hoping I can get one more VIP for day three and day four. So if there's anybody who's selling, let me know. So I'm just really looking forward to that. And then if they do an encore, for sure they're going to do an encore in Seoul. I'm definitely going to watch. Looking forward to all of that. After that, I've mentioned to you some of the predictions that I have. So I'm looking forward to all of those things. And after that, I'm looking forward to some of them or maybe all of them doing their solo releases. So that's what matters. I think at the end of the day, uh, it's all about them um, make doing what they love doing, and that is music. So okay. New nickname in hysterical teens with a criminal background. Okay. All right. We have a lot of nicknames. So I hope we got that out of the way because I know that some of you actually want to talk about it. So I hope we got that out of the way now so we can move on. But it's kind of connected because I was thinking, like, what are the things people are so shocked with their move when they did the Grammy and now? So I was thinking, like, and then something actually came into my head, something that they've done before, and I kind of realized that wait a minute, this is not the first time when BTS actually defied custom and expectations. And I kind of went back to all the way to 2013. Um, do you think the guys preempted the scheming of the Grammys? Um, I do think that they know more than we do. I definitely think they do. They know more than we do. But I also think that at the end of the day, they probably just didn't feel that's okay. So they didn't do it. Yeah. But yeah, they definitely know more than we do. I kind of feel strongly about that theory that I have. I know some people in the industry, and I kind of feel strongly that that was the setup, that they were going to be nominated in that category, but because they are outnumbered, they're going to lose. And then in the major categories, they're going to be losing again. So now on the next day, you're going to have a headline where people are saying, BTS is the biggest losers, and BTS was, this group outdid BTS because they finally won a Grammy, and BTS was talking about winning a Grammy and they still haven't won, nominated this many times and lost all of it. So you have all of this headline, which I'm sure they wouldn't care for anyway. But yeah, I think they know more than we do. Okay. Um okay, so as I was saying, that this is not the first time they've actually done something like shocking. They've done so many things before, and that is kind of similar. And so not similar, but also kind of unexpected, where they went against the grain, they went against expectations and shocked a lot of people. Now, when I go through some of this, uh I definitely think that for some of you, you won't be shocked anymore. And you'll probably think, like, why was it shocking? And the only reason it doesn't shock you anymore is that because they've managed to do it already. And some of it actually became the norm. But when they did it, it was shocking to a lot of people because it was so different. So I'll discuss like how the how the fans and the media reacted to what they did, and hopefully I could sort of make people realize a little better or appreciate what they did a little better. Because as I've said, it's so normal now. Many of the things that I will be saying, it's so normal now that you actually would think like, why is it such a big deal? And the answer is because when they did it, no one has done it before, or very few have done it before, and definitely not in the voice that they have done it, not as loud. Okay. um Technically someone else should submit for them, but they would need a lot of data. The producers can submit. So for example, Mike will made it. If he wants to, he can submit. He doesn't need the approval. He has as much right to it as BTS or Hybe. So they can submit for technical categories. They won't be able to submit for something they did not participate in. For example, they can't submit for album of the year or for song of the year, but they can submit for record of the year or performance, pop performance, something like that. So anything that they worked on, they can submit. They don't need BTS's approval, but not for the things that they did not work on. Okay. All right. Um all right. So let's talk about it. So as I've said, they've actually done a lot of things before that sort of shock people. And many of this won't shock you anymore because it's so ordinary. But that is why we're discussing them, because I want people to kind of realize that it became ordinary and common because of BTS. But when BTS did it, they shocked everybody. Okay. Um, One is when Suga released The Last. It was one of the most controversial moves ever. And a lot of people actually thought that the reason they decided to do this on a mixtape was because of the controversy that it was going to create. So Korea has one of the highest, if not the highest, suicide. I guess I can say, or kill myself. KMS, unalive rate in the world. I guess I can just say it. Suicide rate, they have one of the highest. And so, and it was sort of like, it's a big taboo. It's a big topic, a taboo topic in South Korea, because it does not reflect good on their culture, right? And majority of those that actually take their own lives, they're actually guys. Many of them are guys. And so, but Korea doesn't really like talking about it because, as I've said, they it reflects bad on their culture. Did you see Sugar Sweat? Yes, I did. I did. I'm gonna show you um the emotional support pics next week. So they don't like talking about it because it reflects bad on their culture. And yet, so when Suga actually talked about it in The Last, it was a very, very controversial move, to the point that there were actually some people who were actually already calling that they disband, that they ban Suga altogether, because it was like announcing to the world that they have that kind of culture in South Korea. Okay. Now, it is not that depression has never been talked about before, but it's always poetic. If you go through the different songs that have actually talked about depression, um, it's very they usually talked about it in a poetic manner, never directly. So this is the first song that actually said it. So it said those words and actually admitted it. And also, therapy, like getting a shrink, is not very common in South Korea, not very common in the whole of Asia, because it goes against the familial culture. We have a very, very tight knit family. We value our family. And the belief is that you're supposed to get your mental health support and emotional health support from your family. Like your family is supposed to take care of you. So when you're getting a shrink, that's kind of like a sign that your family is not doing their job. So it reflects on them more than it does you. At least that is the belief. Okay. So all of this he actually said out loud in the last, and he was very, very direct in his verses. So that was a huge controversy at the time when he released the song. It's a good thing that he actually didn't make it a single, and also better that it wasn't an album but a mixtape. Because if it wasn't an actual album and he made it like a title track, then it would have been a bigger controversy. At that time, he had the excuse of actually saying, "Well, it's a mixtape." So yeah. Um, but what happens if your family is the Lulu? That's very, there are a lot of like cuckoo families in Asia. Uh, I mean, I guess that's the same for every family in every country, right? So yeah, that is definitely a struggle. That's definitely a struggle. And how did we know? Someone was asking, like, he beeped it out. How do we know what he actually said? He's discussed it. He discussed it after the mixtape. There were a lot of other interviews that he did, and in there he actually discussed it, like what he said and why he said it. There was some interview, I think it was the Grazia interview, if I'm not mistaken. He talked about, or maybe it was his own live stream, where he said, like, even he surprised himself when he was writing the lyrics. He said that he did not know because he was like, going back to the he had to go back to that experience and that state of mind to actually write the lyrics, and he was surprised that it was still there, and he was surprised that that's how he felt. Like, oh, wow, that's how it, like, I think he said it either in the Grazia interview or his own live stream. So, the problem with this is a problem that I encounter so much. Whenever I look back at like their 2013, like the old era, it's so old that sometimes I have no one else to ask. Like, because who was there in 2013, 2014, 2015? That I kind of like often doubt myself, like, should I say this? Because I can't find the videos anymore. I can't find the right, because it's been so long that people might think you're just inventing something. It's like, but anyway, he said that, I think either in the Grazia interview or his own live stream. He said that he was surprised, even he surprised himself when he was trying to go back, as in that those times when he was trying to write the lyrics. He was surprised that he actually had those thoughts in him, and that he could still remember it so vividly. So I don't know. Maybe I'll come across it when, as I do my research for the book. If I do, then I will post it on Patreon. But yeah, he very much talked about it. And then in terms of how much Big Hit actually supported, and Bang Shiyuk went on record to say this. He said that in the beginning, because they really were very particular about BTS staying as one, the reason that they decided to do mixtape was so that they could, it's lesser responsibility. They don't have, like, if they create a controversy like this, like the last, the entire team will not be affected. That's why they decided to do mixtapes instead of an actual release. There is no money involved, so they don't necessarily have to um justify as much, because it's something that they're just giving away for free. So that's the reason he said they were fully supportive of the mixtapes that the members were going to do. And everyone thought that the fourth mixtape was going to actually come from JK. But of course, they just did an album. Okay, next. So that was a huge shock for everybody. Okay, you want to go down, baby? Okay, say bye bye. Bye bye. Say bye bye. Kiss. It doesn't want to go down. Kiss. Kiss. Kiss me. So it's just like he's leaning on me like with his dead weight. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Okay. Kiss me. Kiss. Kiss. He doesn't want to kiss me. Okay. I got rejected. I think he wants to go out. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, he went to my mom. All right. So if I find the interview, yeah, I usually, sometimes I come across it. I definitely, I wish I was like a better documenter, I guess, in the early days. There are so many things that I remember. I can't find the, the, the documentation of that anymore. Um, there's something that I will discuss after I discuss this. I'm going to talk with you about. I'll mention this briefly before we move on to the next topic. Remind me if I don't remember. I want to talk to you about the how there was this one netizen who actually documented how YG would actually manipulate the concert numbers. Okay. All right. Let if I don't remember, remind me. Okay. All right. So Run BTS was actually a challenge to the networks. This was actually a huge controversy. This was coming off. I know that you guys know some of the controversies, the mistreatment that they experience in different shows. Okay. So um, let me provide like a cultural context. In Korea, hierarchy is such a big thing. So a lot of the things that Westerners would look at as if it's demeaning, it's actually just natural in Korea, just because it's their culture. Um, and so just keep that in mind before. I know when you see BTS or others, you're kind of like shocked, and that's like something cultural. And by the way, I'm not knocking on any culture. I'm just saying it's different. Okay, so there are a lot of things that they do that may seem to you like, oh, that's so disrespectful, but in South Korea it's just like that's their culture. And so many of the things that armies would say were disrespectful in the early days of BTS when they were joining different shows, like people will say that's so disrespectful. Some are actually disrespectful and disrespectful, but some of it is just like it's just part of their culture. So okay, so that is just a preamble to what I'm about to say now. um because of that there's also the thinking that, or you're just gonna have to sort of just take everything, which is wrong. Like you're just gonna have to take everything, especially if it's a senior or someone older than you are, or way way more senior than you are in career. You're just gonna have to take it whatever they do to you. And that has been the custom in Korea. Like many acts would actually just take it, um, even if people are doing something that they are uncomfortable with. So they'll take it just because, they're older, they're more senior in the industry. Um, so so BTS was a recipient on some on a recipient of some of those attitudes from other more senior celebrities in South Korea. They've never said anything against them. Um, But when they did run BTS under their own production, it was a okay. So let me go back first. There has been other variety shows that's actually idol centered, like group centered, but they are usually one would last either one season and then it's then and then it's done. It's usually a part of the promotion of their album. Second, it is usually sponsored by a network. So American Hustle Life was actually sponsored by NBC. So something like that. They would do a show and it's sponsored by by a network. So that was like what was customary at that time. Um, and then so when they started doing, there were two shows before the Gayo, I think Gayo BTS, which was more music centered, and then Run BTS, and then they kind of fused the two together. So when they did Run BTS, everyone thought they were going to do it for one promotion cycle or one era and then shelve it. And then um and then when they decided to do, so it wasn't like when they first did Run BTS and or Gayo BTS, it was like it was not a big deal because everyone has done it before. What was surprising is when they continued doing it, and then they started not appearing in variety shows in South Korea. So that was actually when they started earning a lot of people's ire, because it was they were starting to be viewed as arrogant Korean performers. Like, who the hell do you think you are that you're not appearing in TV shows in Korea anymore? And so when there was this year, so it was kind of like a gradual kind of controversy. It wasn't like this kind of controversy where like everything just went to went to I can't say the word when they announced it, like everyone just lost their minds with the Grammy. This was like a gradual build up because people started realizing, oh, they're not appearing in many shows anymore. And then they're not appearing in any show altogether anymore. And then the height of it actually happened. Um, the height of the controversy happened when it was, I think it was 2017 or 2018 award ceremony. They weren't the It could be 2018. It could be 2018 ceremony where they were actually way bigger than any other group that Korea has ever produced. So way, 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 way bigger. And yet they weren't the final act in the show. Usually the closer would be the biggest act, but it wasn't handed to them. Um, they were the second to the last, and then the last acts would usually be someone from SM Entertainment. And so since then, they kind of cut back on many of their appearances as well. But also now when Hybe explained it, or Big Hit explained it, they said they BTS just really had a lot of foreign commitments. That's why they started cutting back on different shows. But this move of them not deciding to continue their own variety show and not appearing in other variety shows, that was like a slow controversy. It wasn't like a big one, but a slow controversy. But it definitely added to the narrative that they have bigger heads now, and that they think they're untouchable for them to not even appear in different variety shows. Now, what was actually like glaring was the fact that YG has been doing that for a really long time. Like YG won't usually allow their groups to just appear in any variety show or TV show for that matter. But they made it a big deal when it was BTS. When it was BTS not appearing in variety shows and TV shows, they made it a big deal. So again, you can see like how unfair Korean media was treating BTS. Now that we will get to this, but there was an appearance they actually canceled. But we'll get to that. So their decision to do the global press conference, if you would remember, they do the press conference whenever they release an album instead of giving interviews to separate news companies. They would gather everybody together, sit down, and then everyone can just answer question. right? So that's their global. I'm sure that you've seen one of those, their global press conferences. But that was an unusual practice by itself, because usually you would go to the networks and provide them interviews, appear in their TV shows. So when BTS broke that tradition, instead of going to the networks and just asking the reporters to come to them, that was also a big controversy. Now, again, many of these things you're gonna say like, wow, it's like so ordinary, but only because BTS was actually, they dared to change the custom. Okay. Now they write us letters. YG is big three. That's why. Correct. Yeah. Okay. So Ron BTS was a game changer for everybody. Now I'm not going to be very particular about the what happened, but there was a controversy and it involved JK. Now usually the practice is that they would just write a letter to their fans. And usually that letter is regulated by a PR person, approved by the agency, or sometimes it would just be the agency that would address that in a press release. So Jungkook actually addressed it directly. And it was in his voice. Like, he actually addressed it directly. He told his fans, like, this is the situation. Kind of apologized to fans. Not kind of, but actually apologized to fans and said, okay, I'm going to do better. But that was unprecedented. I know that he looks dreamy in that shot. I know that a lot of people, but yeah, so I'm sure that if you want to know the particulars, I can do it in the members only live stream, but I'm not willing to do it here. But it was sort of the first time actually that a an idol actually directly addressed uh, that kind of a controversy. So it is not true that BTS would not address scandals, any kind of scandal. I'm not just talking about dating scandals, but other types of scandals. It's not true that they don't. They actually do a lot of times. They are probably the idol that has done it the most. And if you would remember in the one of the press conferences, global press conferences, they even addressed the accusations about plagiarism. Like someone was accusing them of plagiarism, and they actually said, they actually answered the question. So what is it? You can. I'll just do it in the live stream. I don't want to do it here because it's just going to. We have some people that are watching are not necessarily. Anyway, so I'll do it in live. So just ask me in the members only live stream which one that is, and I'll tell you in detail what happened. But this is just to say that it is not true that BTS themselves don't address scandals. Again, I'm not just talking about dating scandals, but scandals in general. They do. They are one of the few that would actually do it directly. um condom gate is Jin. Yeah, that is Jin. That is Jin's. But Jin actually never addressed it directly. It was that was the agency that actually spoke about it. And at that time they were actually, okay, let me finish this part about Jungkook first. So um and then remind me about the condom gate. Now BTS have so many times before addressed different things directly. So in that global press conference, when they were asked about the plagiarism accusation or whatever, usually someone from the agency will say like, "Oh, that's a legal matter. They can't answer for now," and whatever. So they can't. So that's usually the practice. But BTS is one of the few that actually would dare to um answer it directly. Like, we're not going to wait for a PR person. We're just going to answer it now. And they did. For that specific time, they actually answered it directly in that live stream. So in that global press conference. So going back to that condom gate. Okay. So it was actually the agency that addressed that controversy. However, prior to that, they've already built this reputation, which was scandalous in the beginning, and then it just started becoming funny. They were already starting to build this reputation of them like being dirty minded or whatever. They're not. They're just being teenagers. They were like all like what, 15, 16, 17, 18. You know, Come on, right? Like, that's what they do. Now, for Westerners, that is nothing to us because we know that's just how 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds behave. So that's not a big deal for us, but it was a big deal for Korea. Again, context, right? Okay. So, um, in the beginning, because they weren't really sort of inhibited. They were not given any orders by Big Hit to not talk about this, not talk about that, and whatever. They were just given the freedom. They were given the training, and then Big Hit sort of, and they've talked about this before. Big Hit would tell them, like, well, you know the basics, but if you say something that you know might be controversial, you're going to have to face the consequences of whatever it is that you say. And so they would talk about like a lot of questionable things before that other idols would usually not talk about. And that includes porn. So they've talked about that. Like there was this show. If you want to search it, some of you might have actually seen that already. It was they were all being interviewed. The host was Haha, and they were talking about porn, how one of the members would actually download like, things like that. Like again, to us in the Western, if like for example, if Justin Bieber talked about it, we're just probably gonna laugh, right? Because it's such an ordinary thing. Like, but for them it was a big thing. So when the condom gate happened, it was just part of those, like them building up that reputation that they are unhinged, that they will just talk about anything that they wanted to talk about. So so yeah, so that was when armies actually saw that, the Westerners reaction was like, oh great, to use it, it's good. And then of course it's screen size, so I like, oh great. But the Western, but for Korea it was such a scandal, but for the Western market it was like, okay, like what's the big deal? Good that you're using it. Okay. um Next. Okay, so back in, I'm sure that you know, or at least even so, even though belatedly, you've actually learned about the war between not BTS directly, but it started with BTS, but it was more Hybe versus MBC. So for a really long time, none of the artists of Hybe would actually appear in the year-end show, and they would rarely appear in the music show that they have. And it all started with BTS because the year-end show is an MBC Gayo Dejejon property. So that's when all idols would actually go for that concert, year of the end of the year concert. And if you would, there is this one photo where all the big third gen groups were actually in one picture: BTS, Blackpink twice, and it was in the MBC Gayo Dejejon. So now what happened was, they were expected to appear, and this time, after being disrespected the year before, they were going to be given the last performance. Okay, so that was like what was promised to them. And then BTS begged off because Google is not telling you about the Jungkook scandal. I'll just let you know. Just remind me in the members only live stream. I'll talk about it in the members only live stream. The reason I don't like talking about like controversial things is because people here are going to make a big deal out of it, and so, and put my statement out of context, which I don't like. Okay, so for what happened was they begged off on this one because they decided to do the New York uh, Rockin' New Year's Eve celebration, where they were actually the main performers. So naturally, they can't fly that fast from one country to another. So they decided to beg off this one. Now, NBC took it personally. Even though BTS actually informed them October, and this was end of December. Okay. So BTS already knew the invitation to them to do the New York Rockin' Eve celebration came in September. They gave of course, they accepted October. They informed MBC that they were not going to attend the show. And which was kind of odd because a lot of the write ups actually pointed to MBC not giving BTS the invitation yet. They weren't invited yet. Like people just assumed that they were going to be invited, but they haven't gotten the invitation yet. So when BTS informed NBC that we're not going to be attending that, it was sort of like that they weren't going to be available. They were actually trying to be respectful, courteous in informing them, just in case you are expecting us to attend, we probably won't be able to because we have a bigger because we're going to go somewhere. Now, what this is all now these parts are just rumors. But everything that I've said before that, those are confirmed. Okay, those were well documented. Now, these parts were rumors. MBC was kind of forcing Big Hit to tell them what it is that they were going to do, that they've decided to forgo to pass on MBC Gayo Deje John. And then they also said they told like Big Hit that you've got to make them attend because they're going to be the final performers this time, unlike the last year. So you got to make them attend. Naturally, when you get invited to these things, you're asked to sign an NDA. So you can't tell anybody that you're going to be appearing there. You're going to have to wait for the network or for the organizer to actually make that announcement. And MBC actually took that personally. They think that HYBE and BTS just don't want to appear in their year end ceremony. And that started the 7-year war between MBC and Big Hit. So after that, they wouldn't give. It was very few times when when groups would actually appear in their show, and in the special shows that they have, their special concerts. Almost no HYBE group was actually going to be actually got invited. So that's how long the gap was. BTS never issued a statement in relation to that, and then the only time it was actually resolved was recently when MBC sort of acknowledged that happened, that feud happened, and they made peace with Bang Shiyuk, saying that we'll try to give artists a better environment, like newer artists a better environment. Now, okay, further rumors in relation to that. You know that BTS was not treated very well whenever they appear in music shows. They've mentioned that many times before. They weren't given green rooms. They were sometimes given, we've heard all of that before. Okay. So um, there were talks within the fandom, especially the Korean armies, who talked about how MBC was actually the worst when it comes to treating new idols, and that included BTS. Now, do remember that BTS wasn't the only one that was mistreated. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't. I'm not saying that. Oh, it's okay. Like everyone gets mistreated. So that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that they have that kind of a reputation that they're actually the worst when it comes to treating when it comes to newer idols. Like if it is a new group, they get treated way worse by MBC. Now, one of the and that agreement with Bang Shiyuk, with the head of MBC, saying, okay, we're going to create a better environment for newer groups. That's actually in relation to that because of the reputation. People have been hearing that they are actually the worst. They said that the best is Inki Gayo. Okay, but I'm not sure. Okay. I don't know how all those things didn't break them. You can see how strong they are. Oh, definitely. Is that how it is with rookies? Isn't that how it? Yes, it is. That's how it is with rookies. But as I've said, it's not an excuse. Just because I'm not certainly saying that. Just because everyone else gets mistreated, it's like it's okay. Everyone else gets mistreated. It's like they're an equal opportunity bully. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. When it became clear what the conflict was, the whole issue have yes, it has. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Next. So, Jin discussing about their disbandment was also a shock. Now, we all know this by now, and they've talked about it plenty, or at least plenty enough. Jin did say that he did this without the approval of the team. He did not discuss it with the team. He decided to do it on his own, and he did it. And I guess we can see it in the reaction of our on stage. I think his I think his soul started leaving his body when Jin started talking about it. We can laugh about it now, but it was very, very sad then. Um okay, so the guy that gave them an award is one of the most like memorable and one of the best actors they have, and one of the most respected actors that they have in Korea. And it's also like one of the few that are like known for kindness, and I just wanted to d- give some spotlight to him, um because it sounds like it's so poetic that he was actually the one who gave the award. He is like he helps a lot of new actors and a lot of newer acts when they need him. So he's one of the most respected actors, one of the most successful actors in South Korea, but he's always like almost always willing to help. So one example of him uh, helping a new act was when Lee Sang, which is a duo, a hip hop duo, asked him to feature in their album, but he's not a singer. He actually wasn't a singer. And they were like, huh, why me? But he decided to do it just because he really wanted to. He likes helping new acts. So he's one of those actors that are known for his kindness, which I thought was very poetic that he was actually the one who gave them an award in the Artist of the Year. So we now know that Jin actually said and admitted that he did not consult the group. He decided to discuss it on his own, and that the group kind of gave him a very mellow or soft scolding after that because he worried armies, primarily because they don't like worrying armies. Now, that in itself is shocking. Okay, but the mere fact that they said they almost disbanded is shocking. But what is even more shocking is that they actually that he himself said it for the first time. It didn't come from the agency. Again, the custom for them is for it to come from the agency. Even when the group is about to disband and everyone knows it's going to disband, usually the idols won't talk about it. It would usually be the agency. So the mere fact that he actually talked about it and said why, he said on stage, and he did it on stage, and then they further clarified what happened. That actually goes to show just how uncontrollable they are, like how uncontrollable BTS is. Now, after this admittance, after Jin did this, uh, just because I don't want to forget, Big Hit decided to publish the log of Jimin, where he was actually talking about BTS going through something. But in this log, I'm sure that you know what I was talking about. This was actually one of the videos I was going to show. So I'm sure that you know what I was talking about. Jimin was wearing a jeans jacket, and he sort of in that video he was talking about him already like being out of that. Like he said, I'm okay now. And he said like, I'm here waiting, like when you're ready, let's go and do this together again. Which I thought was in and of itself was like can you hear the faith, like when he was talking, when he was telling his bandmates like, I'm here, like hurry up, I figured it out, I'm gonna wait for you so that we can do it all together. Um and so you can hear the confidence in Jimin's voice there. Like he wasn't saying something like, I hope you guys get out of this. I hope you guys are okay. He was like, I'm here. Like, I'm come on, let's go. I'm excited. Let's go. Get out of it already. I know that you're gonna get out of it. Can you get it? Can you get out of it sooner? So that's when after this one, that's when they decided to publish it. But it was actually recorded April of that year, and then they published it August or something like that. So this was the first time that any artist would actually use such a big platform or a big occasion like this to talk about their disband or almost disbandment. So it was that's why RM was just like, if you there is another fan cam where you can actually see everybody, and you can kind of see RM's like expression. You can just see like, are you gonna evaporate at some point? You can see like, oh my god, like he couldn't believe what was happening. Now again, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. Um, so yeah, whenever someone says like BTS will not address a controversy, they no, they have addressed many controversies, um, many times before, and this is one of those controversies that they've done, and they've done it so it was such a grand way to address a controversy. After that, so they published Jimin's log, and I hope that you can actually listen to that log again. The sub, or maybe you can ask Hi Boy if he can sub it again, like give you, I don't know, does he, if he accepts requests, maybe he can sub it again. Although the bank, it was subbed by Bangtan subs, so when first came out, it was not actually subbed. We had to wait for Bangtan subs to actually sub it. But maybe there are some things that Jimin actually said that is lost, contextually. I don't know if he accepts requests. Maybe that's something that you can do, like go back to some of their live streams before, and maybe he can explain some of it. But that was like one of the, yes, Bangtan subs has it. Yeah, so it was one of the like monumental live streams that they did, the logs that they call it logs. That was one of like most important live streams that they've ever done. Primarily because now to me it was so impactful because you can hear the confidence, the faith in Jimin. Like he knew his group was going to get out of it. Um, like that was his tone, like I'm here, I'm waiting, let's go, let's do this, I'm gonna wait for you guys. But then also there is no, like he wasn't scolding them, he wasn't like, what's taking you so long or whatever. He was just like, I'm here when you're ready, I'm here when you're ready to talk, when you're ready to do it again, I'm going to be here, I'll be watching, I'll be waiting for you. So yeah, I don't know if High Boy can actually maybe there are some things that we're still missing because it's not contextually translated. Okay. What was the year that was from? 2017. I think 2017, 2018. When they didn't want to talk, that they just played past the mic till RM caught them. There were so many. Um yeah, they don't like doing the Jim and the Empath. I want to do an episode, but I don't know if you guys want it. You want me to do like Jimin is an empath. If he became like, if he has superpowers, that would be his superpower. So I wanted to do like uh HB has his hands full ever since BTS came back. Oh, okay. All right. I just okay. That's great. Okay. Now next is the typical trainees Christmas. So when this was actually also a shock. So they, as you know, they would usually do gift armies a song. They'd usually do it in two occasions. One would be, well, three. Sometimes they would do it on their birthday. And then they usually always do it on Festa. They would always send us, they would always like release a new song for armies. And then sometimes one or all or some of them would do it for Christmas. So I think this was 2017, 2016 Christmas. It was written by the members themselves. And the title of the song is A Typical Trainee's Christmas. And this was one of the most prominent, loudest company diss songs I've ever seen. Okay, so I'm kidding. The only way you can actually say something like this is um when when you know that they are close enough for where you're so be. I just, it was just a screen grab. Don't, I'm not, it was just like whatever. Says a screen grab. So you know that they will only do something like this when they are actually close enough to their crew, like to their company, for them to diss them publicly like this, when they're comfortable enough. If you listen to the song, it's one of the most fun songs there are because they were talking about like how they're in their dorm, like they're still working, even during holidays and stuff like that. They were calling out their managers. And so, but the controversy was that again, because there is a huge difference between the reaction of the West and the reaction of Koreans, right? Because in the West, we were like laughing about it because we knew the joke. We got the joke. Like, you're not going to bash someone that publicly unless you're very, very close to that someone. Okay. So I've discussed with you the Facebook sacrifice your friend. Um, promo that we had for Burger King, where you will unfriend 10 people, 10 of your friends, and then and you will get a free Whopper for that. So the joke is that I like Whopper more than I like you. But you're not going to do that to people you're not close with. You're probably going to unfriend your closest friends because all of them are going to be like calling and like, why the heck did you do this? Right? Like that's a so we got the joke. When they did this song, we got the joke that they were, yeah, sure, they were teasing them, but this is a playful teasing. This is like something that you would do with the people that you're very close with. But it created controversy in South Korea because everyone thought like, why are you disrespecting the people that you're working with? And we were like, what the hell are you talking about? They're joking around. They're that close that they can actually joke around that much. But so they got a bunch of criticisms, and then after that everyone just started criticizing their own agency. So again, you can see the pattern. Like they will do something, they get criticized for it, and people are like, hey, that's cool, let's do that. So okay, BTS relationship with their staff is gold. Yeah, they love their staff. So this was like one of the odd things to me that I experienced. Like, what? Why are you yapping about this? This is great. It means they're close enough to actually diss their own management company. Okay. Next, my FB already unfriended all. Like the dissing on the rooftop. Like the dissing on the rooftop. Yes. Yeah, like that. Okay. I'm sure you know this, right? You know this variety show that they did. So this was in promotion for Fire, I think. They were promoting Fire. And this is a very very famous game in South Korea, and this is one of the ways they can actually force a group to do fan service. Um so this is when you put a paper on your lips and then pass it on to the next person using just your lips. So, yeah, this is one of the ways on how they can actually force a group to do fan service because sometimes it would slip and whatever, so they end up kissing and whatever. Um, BTS has never liked doing fan service, right? And some of them hate it more than others. But we know that Suga doesn't like it. Jimin, the Slytherins in the group don't like doing it particularly. Nobody does. They don't like. No one in the group actually does. But those two are like the ones that really like they hate it. Absolutely hate it. And so this specific program, this specific show, this game, what he did was he just let it fall. So before they could even start, it like he was like, okay, I lost. Now, they don't usually do that. Groups won't usually do that because, again, the networks are the kings. So they would just usually they ask you to do something and you're just going to have to do it. And he was the one who said, like, I'm not buying into that. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to ask me to do something I don't like. So it was a small thing, but that added to the image of BTS that they're not the kind of group that you can sort of force into submission. They won't do it if they don't like doing it. Okay. What game is that? They would pass on, so they will suck the paper using their lips and then pass it on to the other person, the next person. Yeah. Okay. That's the game. If you watch like the early years of K-pop, like 10 K-pop 10 years ago, it's a very common um game. Okay. Okay, this is a picture of their very first press junket. So this was when they first got a publicist. So Eshi Gazette was their very, very first publicist. Um and this was not as so much of a controversy as it was a um I guess people took it as them being posers. Like, who the hell do you think you are to do like a press junket in the US? Because no one has done it before. known as a press junket. So when they got Eshi Gazette as APR, so the history is they got the 2014 reception in KCON, right? It was a big different, and you know that in the book that they wrote, Bang Shiyuk actually, that was the time when Bang Shiyuk, well, the incident that kind of gave Bang Shiyuk an idea to try and get the group to try for the US market. And one of the moves that he made, aside from writing Fire, is the song Fire, is to get a publicist. And so he asked the publicist. So the first thing that the publicist did was to do a press junket. And this is when the group would actually sit down, and then it's just reporters after reporters. Usually a reporter will be given like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, depending on the organizer, and then they answer different questions. Okay, so when they did the very very first junket, they were heavily attacked for it. Like a lot of people were like, "Who the hell do you think you are to do a press junket in the U.S.?" That's number one. Number two, they're like, "How are you going to do a press junket? We don't when you don't even speak English." Thank you, Lila, for being a member. Welcome. So that was, but that was, again, they were heavily criticized for this, and then after they did it, others started doing it. So but it was most primarily, the criticisms were more about them being uh insulted for their language, their non-existent English skill at that time. They're okay now, but at that time they weren't. And then the other thing is that, who the hell do you think you are to actually do a press junket? So that was one of the early, well, they've always had critics on Twitter, but that was when the numbers grew exponentially, when they started doing press junket in the US. Like that's when fans of other groups started working together in order to attack them. Okay. Um Next. And now everyone is doing it. Like everyone, just about every group that's trying to make a dent in the US market, they do press junkets. Okay, next. I'm sure you've heard about this, the 2015 intro performance. Have you heard about this? So it was a great performance. It's still up on YouTube if you want to watch it. But it was an opening performance for an award show. And the camera work was actually so bad that BTS had to redo everything because armies did not see the performance. Unless you were there on site, you wouldn't actually see the performance. And I remember watching it. I watched it delayed. Again, we're always delayed here back then. So I watched it delayed, and I was like, because I was waiting for the performance. So someone sent it to me, like a link. And I was like, where is BTS? Like, why are we looking at an idol sitting on the audience for 10 seconds? Like, I want to see BTS. They're dancing. But they're performing. But yeah, it was such a bad performance. So what BTS did after this one was redo the entire choreography. They did the camera work, and then they published it. And oh boy, the hate that they got, because Korea took it as BTS insulting the network that sponsored it. This is SBS. I believe this is SBS. So um that was like one of the worst I've ever heard in the early days that they had, because everyone took it as them insulting the network. Like, who the hell do you think you are to to redo everything? Are you saying that we're losers, that we can't do our jobs properly? Like something like that. So even the like everyone was demanding that BTS themselves. Thank you, Jazzy. Thank you. Even the network themselves were sort of hinting that they should apologize, that BTS should actually apologize for doing this, because they felt like, are you saying that we're incompetent and that we can't do our job, that you have to do it yourselves and whatever? But yeah, it was, they got a lot of hate for this. Now the one good thing about it is that it was primarily confined in South Korea, because this was the early days of the early days of BTS. So there weren't a lot of like online presence of haters. So it didn't spread that big that fast. Okay. They get hated for everything. Correct. They get hated for everything. Next. Okay, so this one were actually, so they canceled the Yasushi Akimoto collaboration after it had already been announced. So they have a collaboration with the producer of AKB48, with and the name of that producer is Yasushi Akimoto, and he's one of the most respected in Korea. When they were going to make starting, they were going to start promoting in Japan. They wanted to collaborate with this guy in order to make their presence in Japan more felt. So they got him as a producer. It was already announced, and I think they're done with this. They've already paid him. Now they were criticized for this primarily because he was involved in some incident in the past that were that kind of, I did not see the material itself, but some people were saying, so he could have been taken out of context, is my point. But they people were saying that he was like criticizing South Korea or insulting South Korea. So they felt that if BTS actually worked with these people, you're condoning or you're supporting people that were spewing hate against Koreans. Now, I don't know if that is true. I've never seen the material. But I do know that they actually called off the entire the entire collaboration. So yeah, it didn't transpire. Now that was to a certain degree different, because usually they would stand their ground in instances like this, especially when it comes to creative work. They usually don't care about it. Not that they don't care, but they usually stand their ground. So this was a little different because they actually listened to the criticism. So, what made them listen to the criticism this time? I'm not sure. Maybe because it's a national interest kind of criticism, because the producer was such a controversial figure. But yeah, it's pretty controversial, and also the decision that they made to not pursue that was pretty controversial. The only other incident that I remember that is kind of similar to this one was when they changed the names of the characters in Wayang Yonwa. So if you would remember, the original characters in Wayang Yonwa was going to be named after the members themselves. So it was going to be Jin, Suga, J-Hope, RM, Jimin, V, Jungkook. It was supposed to be the name. And then they people criticized them for it, like it's going to confuse the algorithm or whatever. But most of the people that were criticizing them were actually haters. But for some reason, they actually decided to change the name. They used the names that were in uh, Seven Fates Chacos. So that's the only other time I could remember when they actually sort of decided to go with what the public was demanding. Okay, next. Um, they chose to perform in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you guys were like the kind of outrage that they got because of that. Um, so they did perform in Saudi Arabia. I think it was 3 nights or 2 nights. One of the best performances that they've ever had. And also, it turned out within the fandom, of course, we were like really having a lot of fun with it, because that was the first time when we actually saw the VIP section getting their own stadium. So the VIP section, let me explain that. So the organizers and the government of Saudi Arabia decided to gift armies who had VIP tickets for like a buffet. So they rented a separate arena or a separate place where all these VIP ticket holders can actually go and wait. And so they have food there, place to sit around, the air condition and whatever. Um, and a lot of like the armies from here, they were actually posting pictures like, this is how we're getting treated. So And of course, that was like the only time that we've actually seen armies get treated that way by the government of their own country. So they had, it was like, well, this is the king. So giving that kind of a gift to army. So they really had a blast. They had like buffet, and they had rooms they can rest in. They had a great waiting area, and then the king actually set up some stuff there for them to do while they're waiting and stuff. So, but the main criticism was that because it is a Muslim country, the rights of women and human rights aren't always observed, or at least that is their impression. So they were being called like, oh, you're just being greedy, you just want money, you don't care about human rights and whatever. But also, again, they were highly criticized for that. I do hope that they go back because armies there had a blast. Also, it was really a rare treat for armies in the Middle East to actually have a chance to watch them. So I hope they do go back. Maybe the extra dates that are not announced yet will most maybe it's going to include the Middle East. I remember a fan cam of the girl praying that she marries JK. If you're going to get hate and criticism anyway, better do what you think is best. And then the other thing is the logic of the criticism. So a lot of people are saying like, oh, they violate human rights a lot, and so that's why you shouldn't go there. And like, they shouldn't go anywhere. if that is if that is the logic, like the government violates the human rights a lot, then they should not go anywhere. Oh boy, there's not going to not no country will be left on their list, probably not even their own country. So no, they're doing it, and they said it actually. We were invited. Number one and second is that we're doing this for armies. So, and I think it's pretty clear. I think it's great that the Middle East people actually had a chance to watch them. um so yeah, they're definitely that has always been my logic. If you're saying that you shouldn't go to a country because the government of that country violates human rights, don't go anywhere. Stay in your country. Stay in your room. That doesn't make any kind of logic for me. But they made it clear they were invited. Number one. Second is that there are armies there that they want to perform for, and they had a blast. Okay. um um this is one of the things I was looking for that I couldn't find. So there was a girl group that used the same title of the song that they had. Being very vague. If any one of you actually know this. So I can't quite remember the girl group, and armies attacked that group because they were like, why are you using the same title of BTS's song? You're plagiarizing BTS. Of course they weren't. No one has rights over a word. They can't claim ownership over a word. But that girl group was highly criticized for it, and BTS actually went on camera and promoted the group. Like they shot up armies. They were like, no, we're not gonna stand for these accusations of like um plagiarism. They said like, I hope that you enjoy the music of this group, and if I come across it, I'll show you. But I remember this very, very vividly. The seven of them standing, one of them holding the mic, probably RM, saying that, we support them. This is a great song. I hope you support them. So yeah. And then after that, there have been other groups that have actually supported RM, not RM, but BTS themselves, even when they were actually promoting at the same time. One of them is actually Mamamoo. So Mamamoo had a promotion right around the same time that BTS was doing a comeback, and Mamamoo actually promoted them. And as you know, Mamamoo is one of their biggest fans. They're actually very, very close. One of the members of Mamamoo is a close friend of Jin. So they don't usually talk about it, but she is a member of Jin's idol group. I don't see that video. I know, right? I will remember that, but yeah, I could remember it vividly. There's another one actually. There's a lot of things that I remember that I can't find a video of, but I know I will at some point. Okay, if I had a coin, if I had a nickel for every, I mean, TWID, the new group, is already being accused of plagiarism, and they're like, they haven't even debuted, and like that name, that word has lost what it actually means. Okay, so that's again, I'm sorry, there was supposed to be some videos that I was actually going to show you in relation to this. Maybe I can just post it on Patreon and also on the community board of, or maybe I'll do like a proper video with all the videos and all the write ups so that you can at least see the references. How's that? If I will fix this after this live stream, I'll do a video and then I'll post it as a proper video so that you can just see like some of the videos that they posted, and that includes the Jimin's video when he was talking about the, his waiting for the rest of his group to come out of the slump. Okay. And then I'll do that. Okay. All right. Do you have questions before I move on to? I'm going to describe briefly, just name some of the statistics that already came out of the FIFA performance. But then I prepared another slide that was another presentation where I actually computed how much BTS would have spent if BTS wanted to do this, have this kind of an impact and have this kind of a reach. How much would BTS would have spent to actually do achieve this kind of impression and exposure? But that requires you actually looking at the numbers because I prepare the numbers. So I'll just go through some of the statistics and then we'll go through the value of those in the next live stream. Wasa and Mamamoo have had their own struggles and are admirable. Yeah, yeah. So not we in Solar, the best friend of Solar, she's the rapper, the one who writes the most in the group. She is a good friend of Jin. But the reason I respect many of these idols is that they don't their friends, idol friends of BTS, is that they don't exploit their friendship with BTS. Like I can't remember her name. So Solar's best friend is the good friend of Jin. She actually never mentioned that she's a good friend of Jin. It was actually Jin who mentioned it. And primarily because Jin said, "Oh, we have a group chat, this group." And all the 93 liners. Jin is 93, right? So all 93 liners. Is Jin 93? No, 92? Moonbyul, there you go, Moonbyul. Yes, Moonbyul. She's a good friend of Jin. So, and the only reason we learned about it is because Jin actually mentioned it. The same way Jackson and RM are still friends, but Jackson does not talk about it. The only reason that was mentioned again was in an interview. Jackson was asked, "Are you still in contact with RM?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah, we're still in contact." And then he didn't say anything after that. Like, I respect that because you're not exploiting your friendship with these people. um Bang Chan never talked about his friendship with Jungkook. Jungkook was actually the one who talked about him. um the Ji-hoon, the friend of Jimin, right? Jimin actually just showed up in his in his party, and he was like, "I did not expect him to show up without a mask and all of that." So I respect it when they're not exploiting their friendship with them. Okay, Moonbyul. Yeah, Moonbyul. Okay. So let's go through some of the numbers. And then I'll go through the computation of the marketing value of this in the next live stream. So it's 6.2 billion views, but this is across all days. 6.2 billion views, not just one. But to give you like an idea on how big this is, so this is just the US. The numbers that you're seeing on your screen, it's just the US, not worldwide viewership. Okay, just the US. So for FIFA World Cup final, the final game, 66.4 million people were actually watching in the US. Okay, not worldwide. And so if you compare that to Super Bowl, which is essentially the biggest event in no cap, the biggest event in the US, usually Super Bowl would get about 120 million viewers, so half of that. That's what FIFA got. And considering soccer in the US, we call that soccer. Soccer is not as popular as American football is, then that is a big thing. Okay. Hi, Kugi. Guga Caesar. So this is a big jump, primarily because, as I've said, soccer is not really a bit as popular as American football, not even as popular as basketball or baseball in the US. So that is a big thing. Now, other events, sports events that are just as that are widely watched would be the college football national championship, 30.1 from last year. The World Series Game 7, which was 25.9. They used to have more actually. That the downfall, not downfall, but the decline of viewership of baseball is should actually be studied. And then NBA Finals 24.5, March Madness final is 18.3, and then the Stanley Cup final is 5.9. So you can see the jump of the soccer game, the final game. Okay, the championship. So Guga said, I'm from Europe. It is the number one sport. Yeah. So these are, in terms of the games, these are the biggest. Sorry. So it's actually the same list. I just made it. I just saw a list that looks better. So I'm showing showing it to you. So yeah. So the Super Bowl is the biggest one, 125.6, and then the World Series final 66.4 million. Now, I found um so for this year is the biggest there was in the US. The most number of viewership they got from the US is this year. Okay. So now the challenge is to get the halftime show actual numbers, right? Sorry. So let's go. So this is for the US viewership, and then I'll show you the Spanish viewership. Where is that? So for the US viewership, it is 38.9 in Fox. I have the Spanish one, sorry. Spanish, English. So this is Fox 38.9. I have a Spanish one. One second. I did not post it. Okay, so there is a Spanish audience, which is also the biggest event that they've ever gotten. It's the biggest share from Spanish speaking audience. I'll just show it to you next time. Now for BTS, the effect of that halftime. On the day itself, right after the halftime performance, they got 30 million Spotify streams on the day of the final. On that day itself, 24 hours from the time of the finish of their performance, and then count 24 hours. So they got 30 million Spotify streams more than they usually got. So obviously, that's the impact of the World Cup. And then, so they surpassed the increase in the streams of Madonna, Shakira, and Justin Bieber. So the world was actually most curious about them. That's what that numbers actually prove. Okay. Okay. And then Dynamite, the streams of Dynamite, the song, is 13% in the US. So this is according to Luminate and Billboard. So it increased 13%. The streams of Dynamite, according to Billboard and Luminate, it went up um, 13%. And then there were some metrics who said that they increased 105% just for that song. So there definitely is an impact. The impact is there. Now, what I actually wanted to originally do and what I prepared for was to compute how much would have BTS spent if they wanted to get that same impact. So I did that, but it crashed, but I'll present it on Wednesday. But to give you an idea, so if they wanted to get 38.9 million viewers that are tuned in watching them, if they want to do that, they're going to have to spend $175 for each person. So multiply that by 38.9 million people, and that's the sort of vague neighborhood like the approximate of how much they had to spend to get that kind of viewership. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'll do that next week. Okay, I have 10 minutes. I thought this was going to be way shorter. All right. So I'm going to do like some of the updates, just industry updates. Sony released their quarterly numbers. It's very, very interesting. So, but this is just going to make sense to you if I actually compare it to somebody like Hybe. So, but anyway, they generated 3.12 billion from recorded music and publishing in calendar Q2 in 2026 and 12.7 year on year. Now, 12.7% increase year on year. Now, that's going to, if you compare that to the numbers um, of Hybe seems to is going to look like they're so small, which they are. But we need to put it in context to appreciate the numbers better. Okay, and understand like what it actually means. All right. So for Sony, so for Q1, let's talk about recorded music. For the labels in the US, usually their sources of income, they count more on recorded music. And so that is streaming, album sales, and residuals. That's the majority of their income. I know it's kind of odd, but that's majority of their income. In fact, in their report, concerts are actually lumped into others. So the revenue they're getting from concert, it's lumped into others, which is kind of odd because for Hybe, that is majority of their sources of income, the concerts. Okay, so you can see kind of the difference in their business model. So for US labels, it's more recorded music. Okay, so for Q2, for from recorded music, it's 671.7 million. Okay, as you know, for Hybe, they got 1.2 billion. Okay, just wanted to make it clear that the overall revenue of Sony is bigger, but for recorded music itself, it's 671.7 million. Now let's compare it to Hive. Hive, if we just focus on concerts and merch and licensing, Hive earned 690 million. If you compare it to Sony with the same sources of income, Sony got 672 million. So that's equal. But then consider the fact that Sony has way more artists. They have way more, they have like 30,000, I think, maybe 20,000 artists signed under their label and different labels under Sony. So as you know, just like Hybe, they buy different labels and then those labels have their own singers or their own artists. So if you total everything, probably 20,000 or less, and from there, from the 20,000 artists that they have signed under them, they're earning 672 million. Hybe has less than 30 artists, acts. So if you total, I don't know, actually less than 20 probably. So that's all the groups under Hybe. And yet they're earning more. So lesser artists, but they're earning more from the same sources of income. Does that make sense? So 690 from Hybe, 672 from Sony Music. So that's the kind of comparison that's kind of making Western labels rethink how they do business. Because from the beginning of time, when labels, can you put that in a video essay? Yeah, yeah, I will. So most of their earnings, Sony earnings or Universal, usually they would get a chunk of their earnings from recorded music. And then they sign the artist with a 360 deal, a contract. That means whatever that artist does, they're going to get a portion of it. But it won't necessarily be them that will be looking for jobs or putting them on tour, but they will earn from it. And their logic is that because of our music, you became popular. It's only right that we will earn from all the other things that you do. But they won't necessarily be the ones that will be promoting the concerts and whatever. That will be the job of your agent, of your manager, blah, blah, blah. So they're kind of rethinking, okay, with less than 20 acts, I think 20, they have less than 20 acts right now, Hybe. They are earning 690 million from the same revenue sources that we have. So they're kind of realizing, okay, we're not doing things right. If they can generate as much money with lesser artists from the same sources of income, we're not doing anything right. That is why many of these labels, including Sony, Universal, they are pivoting in order to, so that they themselves will be one, pursuing brand deals, putting their own artists on tour, and not just earning from it. Now, that means, of course, they also need to enhance their own capabilities because they're going to have to hire new people or whatever. But that's just the price you pay if you want to get more income from concerts and merch and licensing and IPs. Okay, so that is a better way for you to appreciate like what how Hybe itself is actually changing the way many labels are doing business here in the US. But also I think just from the artist perspective, I think it's a win for them because what happens is that okay, so the label builds you up, right? They build your popularity. And then but then they don't necessarily heavily help you in doing your concerts, in doing your tour, in getting brand deals. You're still gonna have to pay other people to do that for you. So instead of the agency taking flat, for example, flat 15%, you're paying 10% to your agent, 10% to your manager, or maybe even 20% to your manager. And then the label is getting a chunk of your earnings. And so your revenue actually depletes way more because you're left on your own to do all the other things. Um, what about right now? Hybe American Acts, the only one that they have is the one that they are managing with Geffen, which is Cat's Eye, and then Saint Satin, which has not formally debuted. Those are the only two acts that they have, but they've just announced that they're going to do a um, uh, audition. So they're probably gonna. Okay, next. Another development. So if you would remember, they acquired Supertone. And this is the AI, the audio AI. This is how they actually created Midnat, the alter ego of Hee Yoon. So if you would remember, he released an album and then they used AI so that he can sing it in other languages using his voice. They called it, they did it through Supertone, but they're giving up that company. They're selling it. So they shelved one feature and then the other one they are going to be selling to another company. The label that they bought, no, it's the AI, voice AI company that they bought. Okay, next. Twid is going to be debuting on the 25th, I think. So these are the members. And Soyeon is the sister of Gio of Twice. So she's my bias. Nepotism. She's my bias because I like Gio. That's nepotism. So they're going to be debuting on the 25th. And they had a showcase, but it was no cameras, no recording, no nothing. It was, I think, for the press. And I don't know why they did it that way. I guess to generate some traction or whatever. But as early as now, they're already like the accusations of plagiarism and all, it's rampant. They haven't even appeared really publicly, but they are already being accused of plagiarizing New Jeans by Talkies. Talkies, as you know, I actually would encourage the new agency to change the name of bunnies. Give the bunnies to MHJ, to Minheejin, and then they should just get there. Nepotism. It confuses you. I think it's attitude. I think it's attitude to it. I could be wrong. Anyway, so she's the one wearing red. So that's her, the sister of Soyeon. So she's my bias. It's absolute nepotism. The girl in the middle is one of the most criticized one. They said she looks ugly. All the horrendous things that you can ever call a woman, she's been called, or a girl for that matter, she's been called. SM is starting to get their concerts, the concerts of their different artists in cinemas. So if you want to sort of get an idea on the kind of performances that ESPA delivers, you might want to check them out in theaters. So they're going to be putting them for the concert that they're having right now. It'll be available in theaters. A good way to sort of get introduced to groups that you won't necessarily be willing to pay hundreds of dollars for, but are still curious enough to see how they actually perform. And Hypen, they're done with their North and South America tour. They gathered 193,000 fans. So hoping that in the next tour that they have, it's going to be bigger than this one. Okay, there you go. That's my stat. All right. So that's it for today. Do you have questions? I was thinking attitude also. Yeah, I think that's it. Could be tweed. But the way that they pronounce this is tweed. Tweed. Tweed is how they pronounce it. So maybe I'm not sure. But I think you can expect Hybe to launch more artists because, as I've said, Sony has 30,000 artists under their label, and that's how you need to continuously cycle through the different artists. So whenever someone, because yesterday were like, I saw some tweets from people on X. They were posting on X saying that, oh, they're cannibalizing their market and they're saturating the market, they're launching another girl group, and I'm like, that is that's how you do business. you you release a product into the market because that's how you earn. But that's the answer to that question. You so do expect more artists to actually launch. How are you doing, Miss Fairley? I'm doing good. Just a little pissed and a little disheartened by from losing all the stuff that I prepared. I prepare hard for this. Like I would usually spend my evenings before bed doing the preparations, and then so losing them is kind of. But I can't allow it to affect me. Otherwise, I won't be able to do any of this. um, I would also like to do an objective review of the festival stages. Oh, okay. I've seen such opposing reviews. You did great. Thanks for everything you shared. Thank you so much. I thought it was tweed, like how you say guide. Tide. Ah, no. They said tweed. Sorry, got to save the new Arirang European tour dates next year. Thank you, Fairy. Okay, thank you, everybody. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Fairy. Thank you, everybody. I will see you Wednesday. I need new computers. I need a new computer. All right. Thank you. Bye.